Okay, I was wrong. I might have been very wrong. About a lot of things, but about Ashling the Limitless in particular. See, in my precon upgrade, I jammed about a half dozen games with the Dance of Elements precon, and I found Ashling to be a very short-term benefit commander. But under the right conditions and with the right modifications to the deck, I really underestimated how much value that meant in the long run. See, elementals at their core are about enters effects, and Ashling takes that to 11 by making it a tokens deck as well. So what happens when we take the best effects, the best elementals, and we cram them all into the same deck? Well, we get this absolute beast of a brew. Horde of Notions, who? For a precon commander, Ashling does two really important things: cheats costs and makes copies. I really fixated on the Wooburg cost to keep your token copies initially, and in playing the deck I found that Ashling gave up a lot of board presence. See, evoking a creature makes you sacrifice it, and the token you create is temporary, so paying 4 mana for any elemental is great, getting twice the enters effect and a hasty copy that can attack. It's like a Panharmonicon meets a sneak attack. But that doesn't leave you with anything in play. The counterattack from opponents is deadly. But I missed something that the precon doesn't come packed with: token doublers. See, pairing Ashling with an Anointed Procession, Parallel Lives, or Doubling Season now gets you 2 hasty tokens and 3 enters effects from a single cast. But if you continue to build in this direction, you can continue to enhance your value. The precon comes packed with Yarok, but putting Panharmonicon in your list and the new Twin Flame Travelers, well, now you're getting multiple enters effects on multiple creatures entering each turn. Something you don't need anything more than to just win the game. The other big thing I only alluded to in my precon upgrade was cost reducers. See, I recommended adding a Herald's Horn and a Gathering Stone into the deck, but nearly forgot they reduced Ashling's evoke cost as well. When that clicked, I immediately grabbed an Urza's Incubator and slid it into the list. Paying only 1 to 2 mana for your elementals becomes insane value, and can let you just chain multiple enters triggers together to just rapid fire through your deck. In one game, with my from scratch list here, I was able to cast the elemental version of Grey Merchant of Asphodel, Shimmer Creep, with an Ashling, Animar, and Mondrak in play. That's right, full Vivid, baby! Animar was able to reduce the evoke cost, Mondrak made me an additional copy, and in one turn I was able to dome each opponent for 15 and gain 15 life. For 2 mana. Who needs to fear the crackback at that point? And that's really where it struck me. Effects like Descendant's Fury were the ways that you'd really get a board presence. Use your to-be-dying elemental tokens to cheat out more elementals that aren't themselves evoked. So I researched and I asked some judge friends. Does Renewed Solidarity copy the sacrifice trigger of your elemental tokens? Turns out it does. That's unfortunate. Does Reflections of Littjara copy the fact that you paid the evoke cost of an elemental? Turns out it does. Unfortunate. But in both these cases, you still get more copies, more tokens, but still no long-term board state. And that's when I started to realize the benefit of some of the elementals I wrote off in my precon upgrade. Those like Belonging or Avenger of Zendikar. If we're doubling enters effects and doubling tokens created, then elementals that make other tokens on enters are how we create a board state. Sure, we'll want to hardcast some of the elementals like Champion of the Path or Smoke and Flamebraider, but they won't be holding down the fort. Little dinky token creatures will be our throwaway chaff to protect us from opponents' aggro. All the more reason we want to lean into card draw effects. Muldrifter, Null Drifter, Shine Striker, all acting as dig for important pieces when we really need them. Subterfuge has overperformed every time I've cast it too, drawing multiple cards a turn and refilling your hand instantly. Elemental Bond, Garruk's Uprising, and Temur Ascendancy all trigger on enters, not cast, meaning our evoked elementals and token copies all draw us multiple cards, meaning we're never struggling for resources and, without tutors, can typically just find what we need when we need it. All the more reason to stock up on token makers like Molten Echoes too. More copies equals more triggers. And trigger doublers get insane in the quantities you can include. Yarok, Panharmonicon, and Twin Flame Travelers being just the beginning. Don't forget Roaming Throne, who enters as an elemental, and can help trigger all your other effects multiple times as well. And I didn't even bother including other non-elemental creatures like Starfield Vocalist that could add to this count. There's just too many to reasonably include them all. The play patterns in this customized deck ended up more nuanced than when I played it out of the box. More cards caring about Vivid like Bloom Tender, Fadeburrow Elder, or Shine Striker led me to want to get more enchantments into play, so that we can up the color count for mana generation or card draw. Then start dropping doublers and popping off for explosive turns that often left me shields down but resources up. Lands, life, cards, I had more than I could ever need at every point in the game. Being able to get 5 triggers in a single turn by evoking a Rotten Mouth Viper with a Parallel Lives in play, that's 3 enters triggers and 2 attack triggers from your token copies, made sure that my opponents didn't have any board presence either, all without traditionally wiping the board and being one-sided. Omnath, Locus of Rage became a surprise win con. As a legend, making an extra copy on cast or enters makes you sacrifice him to the legend rule, allowing Ashling to make you more token copies, all seeing each other die and throwing around lightning bolts to pick off creatures or take opponents out entirely. Sunderflock, hardcast or evoked, being a one-sided board wipe was backbreaking to opponents every time I cast it, as none of their creatures have haste, but all of our tokens do. Attacking into an open board to put opponents on the back foot and make them overly cautious about being able to swing again. Even sacrificing our hardcast elementals or token copies of elementals to a greater good to refill our hand, dig into answers, get cost reducers. Well, in more than one game, I've had nearly my entire library in my hand at once. Now, before I dig into the mana base, which is a whole issue into itself, there's more than one way to build an Ashling that I was tempted to do here, and that's via scams. Scams, the term for cards like Malakir Rebirth, Not Dead After All, or Supernatural Stamina, are all ways to have your cake and eat it too. This lets you pull the scam that Modern's been known for and got banned in that format. Evoke out an elemental, like Grief, and in response to its trigger, you cast a scam spell on it. Now, in this deck, Ashling has you sacrifice it, you get your copy, and the original returns to play for good. What a scam, right? Keeping in mind that Blinking does the same thing. Cast Ephemerate in response to a Solitude's Evoke trigger, and voila, you get multiple enters effects, a temporary token, and a permanent body. I certainly think that this is one very valid way to build an Ashling deck, but it would take away from some of the number of elementals you're running. My list is very spell light, preferring to be very creature heavy, and supplementing that with permanent effects on enchantments and artifacts. Merging all of the concepts, token doublers, enter effects doublers, blink or scam effects, well, you're getting into the territory where you're pulling too many rabbits out of the same hat. Keep it simple and streamlined, and you're more likely to keep it consistent and keep doing the thing. Now onto the elephant in the room, a 5-color mana base. I went over this in my Dragon definitive list, but making a perfect 5-color mana base is agonizing. It's expensive, and even avoiding fetch lands like I have in this list, the mana base is 50% of the cost of your entire deck. Huge disclaimer here, you do not need to build it this way. I prioritized flexibility of mana production in this list, opting for lands that produce 2, 3, or any color of mana, but some of the best lands for this list are dirt cheap. Eclipsed Realms, Path of Ancestry, and Secluded Courtyard all make any color mana for elementals and don't break the bank. But Shocks and Triomes are all $10+, making it a very, very long-term play to gather all of the lands you'd ideally want for a deck like this. Mana Confluence, City of Brass, or even the new Starting Town are all great for flexibility, but man do they hurt your wallet. But Card Draw and Ramp are actually your best friends here. Card Draw gives you more options to play the lands you need when you need them, and Ramp lets you select what lands you need when you're missing them. To bring this mana base to a reasonable level, I'd cut the Triomes entirely in favor of basic lands. Basics are your cheapest, most consistent way to cast spells, and a lot of new players have been conditioned to think basic lands equal bad, but that's a lie. Precons, stuffed with unnecessary non-basic lands, taint our perception of an ideal mana base. An ideal mana base is one that lets you play a land and cast a spell, and basic lands do that as well, or better than, many other lands. Let me know in those comments right now, do you want an entire video on this topic? Because I've got a lot to say on mana bases. But you're already asking, what about the upgrade? And while sure, you could add game changers like Rhystic Study, Smothering Tithe, or any of the tutors, I honestly think they're unnecessary here. You're more all in on synergy than anything else. Ask yourself these questions. Is it an elemental? Does it make elemental tokens? Is it a doubling effect? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't be including it in the list. If I'm cutting anything for any other cards, it's the less scalable token creators like Molten Echoes or Reflections of Littjara. Specifically Reflections, since doubling a spell on the stack isn't seen by token doublers since it's not in play. But adding anything to the list should be prioritizing protecting Ashling. So make room for Deflecting Swat, Fierce Guardianship, or Heroic Intervention. Those would really be the more pressing additions than any kind of game changers. Now lastly, why didn't I include some cards? Some popular includes trending on MOXFIELD and other deck building sites are making their way into people's lists, like the new 2-color Evoke Elementals. These are neat, because on their own you can cast them for just 2 mana, but with Ashling you could cast them for 4 and get both of their modes. But they do nothing when their tokens enter. See, you need to have cast them to get their effects, and the tokens are created, not cast. For the same reason I am not hot on Maelstrom Wanderer. Cascade is a cast effect, and is really only good when you get to cheat it out for 4 mana and Cascade for 8 twice. Extra copies and enters effects for the Maelstrom Wanderer do nothing. Sure, you get extra enters effects for whatever you flip into, but I'm really not hot on this guy because he doesn't have maximum synergy. Also, flash effects. Plenty of folks are asking in the comments of my upgrade guide, why not flash effects to surprise evoke elementals? And that's because flash effects are overrated. They're win more effects and don't actually help your game plan at all. Skip them. All they do is gum up your turns and delay things you want to be doing on your own turn anyway. Did I leave out any of your favorite elementals? Let me know in those comments. How has your Ashling build turned out? What's your experience playing the deck out of the box and customized? What cards did you include and what wild plays have you seen? Let me know in those comments, I'd love to hear them. And don't leave without checking out my sponsors like Card Conduit. They are hands down the easiest way to sell your individual Magic cards without the hassle of traditional buy listing. They'll get you top dollar while handling all of the heavy lifting, from sorting to grading to optimizing your price across a huge network of vendors. And they'll give you cold hard cash for it. You can use the promo code MECHANIC right now for 10% off of all fees. And if you want to pick up the cards for this list, make sure to go check out Card Trader. Use my promo code MECHANIC right now for 5% off your order from any TCG. Card Trader's zero system means you can get cards from all over the world with only one shipping fee. Save money and time today. Lastly, you can check out all of my decks on MOXFIELD. MOXFIELD is the best deck building platform in the world and makes it easy to build decks and search for specific cards with their powerful tools. Have you checked out their drag and drop feature yet? It's revolutionary. Be sure to check out my brews and follow my profile there right now. If you were inspired to brew today, you have to hit that subscribe button. Check out this other deck on my channel right now for more sweet tech. And as always folks, good luck and have fun.